say thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. 'Cause I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
And let's just know right now, right this very moment, in this sacred moment, in this sacred place, with these sacred hearts and souls, that there is only one Spirit, one God, one universal thought. And each of us are individualized expressions of that. And we are perfect. We are perfect wherever we're at in our journey. And we express ourselves in being open for learning, open for love, open for growth. We are brave. We're so brave to be our authentic selves. And letting that unfold in a way that is just so beautiful and so rich, enriching of our lives. I'm so grateful for this, for our teaching, for this group of people, loving people that are themselves. Each individual is living their life the best that they can at this very moment, always knowing there's another day, there's another hour, there's another week. And I release this knowing that this day is brightened because of each person here. And I release it knowing it is all true right now. And if you could join with me in saying, and so it is. Just need to take a few seconds here. It's amazing how the music and your talk has woven into what I want to talk about today. No accidents. So today, first of all, I'm Reverend Linda, and I'm here today to talk with you, to share with you, to be authentic with you. And that's what I would expect in return, is authenticity. So today we're going to talk about thinking affirmatively and learning to practice repeating affirmations to ourselves to bring about changing our thinking. And talking about the quotes, those are amazing affirmations. I love that. We're also going to talk about spiritual bypass and how that can keep us from being authentic and real. And last but not least, we will discuss how to do both at the same time. About your song. First, we're all united with an invisible force that is creative, and we are already one with universal mind, which can do anything that we decide. Next, we will consider that we are centers within this mind, and that the sum total of all of our thoughts is either silently attracting God to us or repelling it from us. And third, we know that we can change our thinking. That is what we learn here. And in so doing, cause the law of good to act affirmatively for us instead of negatively. Many of us believe this, but why do we not use it more effectively? It's all about choice. And let's start with the first proposition. It's been believed that if we performed a certain way, we would please God and have what we believed. So you walk in here, for me, goddess wear with fringe, that might be an expectation or a picture that I have of myself in presenting myself as a minister, notwithstanding what's going on inside of me, which I will talk about. But God or Spirit can only bring you as much good as you accept. And accepting is in your own mind. It's an act of faith. Ernest Holmes tells us that we can practice believing because thoughts are things. And when we say, I believe, and there is no doubt in me, we do two things. We affirm our belief, and by so doing, we build a positive acceptance in the mind. And at the same time, we reject our doubts by denying them. So the all-powerful Spirit, God, whatever your choice of the name, can bring you only as much good as you accept. And it's an act of your own mind, an act of faith. And it's so simple that we overlook that its deep and dynamic meaning. It is simple, but not necessarily easy. An example of this is that I recently had an opportunity to go on a trip to Paris, and with 15 women, of which I only know 2 of them. It's been talked about for over 2 years. It's a friend of mine, a shop owner in Half Moon Bay at the Posh Moon. And Barbara, you probably know it. Are you going to Paris?
I love it there.
Yes. And every time I'd go in, because it's I would go all the way to Half Moon Bay to go to the Posh Moon and talk to the mother and daughter that own it. It's just real special. And so we've been talking about it for 2 years. The mom, Carol, even gave me a little Paris, I love Paris pin and a beautiful little bag to keep it with me as something to give me that positive feeling that I'm going to do this. And so the time came about a month ago that the trip is happening. It's happening this week. I'm not this week, this year, April 9th to the 18th. The cost, when I got the flyer with the cost, I said, I've got like 8 trips planned this year, and didn't really fit with my budget exactly. And I didn't know how I was going to talk John into feeling good about it. But I really, really wanted to go. It just felt like some sort of life passage to go on this trip with these women that I don't know, except for 2. And because I figured anybody who knows and is attracted to Carol and her daughter Monica are going to be amazing women. And I just want to be around that. Not that I'm not all the time when I come here. So about 2 weeks ago, I get a letter in the mail, and the letter, it's like a statement of an account, which I had never received before from this particular group. It's something that probably many of us would have tossed. But I started looking at it. There's an account number. It had my maiden name. It was very strange. So I started tracking it down, and it turned out that it was some back from 1979, an account that I had opened for deferred compensation through the county of Alameda. And it really is money that is owed to me after all these years. And it was about $500 shy of paying for this trip. I mean, it was just amazing. And deep down, I knew this trip was going to happen, but I didn't know how. I really didn't know how. I thought about, getting a job. It's like, I'm retired, Anyway, I completed the paperwork process, which was tedious, but the check is on the way. And it's going to happen. And I'm just thrilled that learning this and teaching it for all these years to really see it in my life so I can share it with you, and you can believe for yourself that it can happen, and it probably is happening to many of you. I know, Belinda, it happens to you all the time. Yeah. So there's no way I knew the how, but it was clear that I was saying yes to the trip. So, went back to Weight Watchers, and I'm getting I'm getting ready for this trip. And the second concept is of attracting or repelling our good is how we accept our part and how we use the power that is greater than we are. About 90% of our thinking is unconscious. Psychologists now tell us that 8% of our accidents are unconsciously invited, and about 75% of all of our diseases, let me finish this whole paragraph here because I don't want anybody to get plugged into this idea, but 75% of our ideas are thought to be unconsciously created. And I know this is a slippery slope because we don't want to blame somebody for their illness. There's a different thing between blaming somebody for their illness, whether it be physical or mental, and, the spiritual bypass that I was talking about. So I think we can agree that our success or failure is largely unconscious. And of course, our happiness or our misery is almost entirely so. Somebody, who was it that in our prayer circle said, that was John, said consciousness. When we were talking about one word that we can, what do we feel for today? And it was consciousness. And so it's our purpose to find out what these thought patterns are and change them so that the natural, normal flow of a life force itself shall be resumed. So that coat, that's kind of amazing. There's a story about Louise Hay. This is making a lot of noise, huh?
Take that coat off.
I know. The founder of Hay House is widely recognized as the person who brought affirmations into common usage. Her own story is told in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. In short, her childhood was marked by poverty and abuse, and from which she concluded is that she was worthless and not deserving. As she grew up, even being a famous model and being married to a wealthy businessman did not shift her beliefs that she was undeserving. So finding the teachings of Science of Mind was the beginning of a shift for her and attract the good that she deserved, or desired and deserved. Diagnosis of cancer led her to the deep inner work required to release that lifelong pattern of resentment and blame, and she began to truly heal. And we lost her last year, right? Yeah. I love my community on Facebook a lot. And there's a lot of people that I have, I think, pretty deep friendships with that I may not have ever met, but I feel like when I hear their name, it's like, oh yeah, it's one of my friends. So there's one man, I know, I think he's your friend too, Bobby, Todd Graves, wrote about something that we wrestle with. And this really made me, when I heard Billy speak, I thought about Todd Graves too. And he talks about how we can put on a facade, and it's somewhat expected in our society, in our jobs, in public, and even at church. That's why I mentioned the gotta swear with the French. Many people wrestle with the effects of PTSD or other types of anxiety. And we've had, many come through here, veterans through the VA that were in programs and that have come here and learned to be loved no matter what, no matter where they're at in that wrestling. Talking about it is about being real in a world on a platform that doesn't necessarily want real. It's like when I ask you how you are, just tell me I'm fine. But maybe you're not fine, and maybe you want to talk about that. So I suffer from anxiety, and if I didn't admit it and take care of myself with constant spiritual practice, it could overwhelm me. I'm going to get painfully real here, so you can wake up if you dozed off. I'm still working on healing my fears about speaking in front of an audience. I'm healing my worries about rejection, health, old age. And if we didn't have a dark side of us to heal, we may not be able to meet others on equal footing and have compassion for others. You know, I had so much anxiety about today because the week was probably one of the most challenging that I can remember in many years, like 15 different pretty intense, epic things happening. And yesterday I was almost ready to call Reverend Kathy and say, would you like to do the talk tomorrow? I couldn't focus. Yet there was a certain amount of peace accepting that, you know, that part of me that, I don't know, it was just a very interesting thing. And I decided that I was going to kind of own up to that today. And what that takes for me and other people to step out of their comfort zone time after time. I've been dealing with this anxiety for so many years. I don't take meds for it. I do prayer. I do prayer and other spiritual practices. And I love myself that way. I wouldn't want it any different. You know, I would like to feel a little bit more comfortable. But, you know, I'm here with people that I love and who love me. How could it be any better? How could it be a better audience to be with? So when we perform a selfless act of kindness towards someone else, we take the focus off of ourselves to step up the vibration scale that this must happen. You know, vibrating at a low level when all you can think about is yourself and your anxiety, your worries, your concerns. But if you start to look at others, it just brings your vibration up further, that you can also accept that in yourself. Staying trapped in the musings of the ego happens because the focus is all on you and the unfair or painful circumstance you're experiencing. And I felt kind of like that this week, you know, just like, oh, this is just too much. The ego loves attention. It feeds off of it. When we go into the space of being of service or a positive contribution to anyone, requires us to step out of that dramatic story of the ego and expand awareness to another person's need and recalibrate with love. You know, I love tuning in to Cecily and her journey right now in going to college, and Tristan, who is going to college in New York, and to Mandy, also known as Diesel, who has a great job, and just seeing that progression and still knowing that they have moments, like we all do. They have moments of that anxiety, that just one more day, one more class, one more this, one more that, and getting through the day and reaching out, whether it be through Facebook or calling somebody or reading or whatever. And we're here to help each other with that and to accept and love no matter where you're at on that journey. My mother is going through some tough aging issues. And it's interesting because my sisters and I are also not young, but she's older. She's 90. And so it's very interesting watching that and being a part of it and helping her and being with her. And knowing that she's feeling that. She's feeling that aging. And she'll say things like, I feel like I went to bed as a teen and I woke up an old lady. It just felt like it happened like that for her, the realization. So she's so open to talk about it. And, she feels bad. She feels bad if she has to call us, or bother us, and we don't. It doesn't bother us. We do have to be patient. So our third idea is that we know that we can change our thinking. We know that. The affirmative attitude will always overcome the negative because it does have a higher vibration. We're ready to bring ourselves to believe that we possess the good we desire, even though we do not see any possible way for it to happen. The trip to Paris. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted it. So I do affirm the presence of love, friendship, happiness, prosperity, health, peace, and whatever the need may be, and nothing in me denies, rejects, or refutes it. I do accept it. And this is a practice that can and does produce results this very minute. Or it may take a while. It may take years. But it can happen right now in this moment. So, another person that I am friends with on Facebook is Bob Lucken. He's a minister in Florida. Very, very interesting man. And he said something, and I asked him if I could use it in this talk. And that it is this. And this is what I will end with. Inside every creature, large and small, there is a place others cannot see. There is a private place where dreams and hopes take root, where love grows strong, where loss has no words. A place where every minute of life is a symphony. It is this place where a single tear can flood the soul. There's a place where love comforts us. There's a place that lives on the other side of words. A place where one spark of love can create a universe. There's a private place we each must find. A place where we are whole. A place that makes us smile on the inside. Where our heart song can be sung out loud. You have heard that song late at night and early in the morning. It was the song of the breeze. It was a song hidden beneath the wings of a hummingbird. It was a song you heard at the ocean's edge. There's a private place where love heals all wounds, where life is renewed and where dreams once planted now flower. And let it be your way.
Woo!
Thank you. I do want to announce right now, because it's such a special thing, Barbara, I had so many amazing conversations this morning in such a short time. It just felt like it had to have been 3 hours, but it was maybe 15 minutes. And it was just like, just amazing. So Barbara is going to bless us with something at the end of, not too long from now, at the end of our morning session, when we circle up. And it's a little bit of a surprise, but she just wanted to let you know that that's going to happen. So don't leave early. Don't try to get out of here, because you would miss something really special. And she's very excited to share it with us. So let's pray. And let's just know right now, right this very moment, in this sacred moment, in this sacred place, with these sacred hearts and souls, that there is only one Spirit, one God, one universal thought. And each of us are individualized expressions of that. And we are perfect. We are perfect wherever we're at in our journey. And we express ourselves in being open, open for learning, open for love, open for growth. We are brave. We're so brave to be our authentic selves. And letting that unfold in a way that is just so beautiful and so rich, enriching of our lives. I'm so grateful for this, for our teaching, for this group of people, loving people that are themselves. Each individual is living their life the best that they can at this very moment, always knowing there's another day, there's another hour, there's another week. And I release this knowing that this day is brightened because of each person here. And I release it knowing it is all true right now. And if you could join with me in saying, and so it is.
Thank you for this day.